Kathy Bauer. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Dutchess County LDC. Jasmine, could you take the roll, please?
Point of order, Chairwoman Bauer. We've already.
I'm sorry, what?
Point of order. We've already had a roll call, and then we had an adjournment. I believe the proper procedure would be to make a motion to reopen the meeting. And I don't think that there is a need for a roll call unless that recording was not in fact usable.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to reopen the meeting of the Dutchess County LDC.
I'll second that.
And actually, Don, if possible, if we could actually do the roll call again, because the video resides on the IDA and LDC, and while the IDA video will show the beginning portion of that meeting, if someone were to open the LDC video on the LDC site, they may not see the roll call. So if it's okay. I'm
in agreement with that. So Chairman Bauer, I suggest that we do, in fact, redo the roll because some of us may have left the meeting.
Okay. Jasmine, would you do the roll, please?
Kathy Bauer.
Here.
Don Sagliano.
Here.
Here. Should we approve the minutes again because of the video? Okay.
Yes,
if everyone has had a chance to review the minutes from the February 18th Dutchess County LDC Finance and Audit Committee, I'd like if someone could please make a motion to approve said minutes.
I'll make that motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
And I will second that motion. Jasmine, if you could please do the voting.
Kathy Bauer.
Approved.
Don Sagliano.
Approved.
Okay. Sarah, are you going to present the budget for the LDC?
Yes.
Or is Marilyn? Okay.
I will present the budget, and Marilyn will probably provide some extra comments.
Okay.
So again, I'm going to go over the 2020 end of year estimates and the 2021 budget first. So the 2020 end of year estimates is based on the Vassar College admin fee that we received earlier this year, and then the Bard College, which the full board had approved the preliminary on Wednesday, the anticipation of that fee when the bond closes later this year. So that accounts for the $656,750. For 2021, it is just a projection of our, that we've used in the past years. It's based on 3 projects and just an average of admin fees of $100,000. So that is what was used for 2021. Application fees, the 500 reflects the 2 projects. Again, Vassar and Bard, their application fee. 2021 is based on receiving 3 applications that year. For line 3, Dutchess County, that is our contract with Dutchess County. In 2020, it shows 0 because the board back in May had approved a resolution to forego the contract for this year. For 2021, the figure is $338,250. That is the austerity budget request that I put in for 2021. The county does not approve their budget until later this year, so and I have no indication whether the likelihood that we'll get the 338 that I've requested. So I've put it in there as kind of a optimistic placeholder, but there is a potential that we may not get as much as I have requested, or that amount, or any amount at all, as a result of the financial hardships the county is experiencing as a result of the pandemic. This may change, if the county were to get, federal and state assistance, but as a placeholder, I've placed that $338,250. Any questions about that?
No, I could just make a comment that, the county budget is still a work in process. I believe that it gets presented to the legislature last week of October, and then in November, we begin our work on questioning and the adoption process. So again, that is some time off at this particular point in time. And we did, as a board, back earlier this year, the LDC, we did decide to forego the contract with the county due to the coronavirus financial limitations that were occurring and continue to occur. And again, I don't think that the 338 is overly optimistic. I think is probably a good number at this time from anything that I've been able to discern at this point in time.
Okay, thank you. So again, this, because our budget is done prior to the county's budget is done, again, this is just an estimate, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But moving on, the IDA in 2020 is the professional service contract we have with the IDA. That amount stays the same in 2021. Private sector has been lowered to 15,000. That's usually the income that we get from the BEAs. We did receive a sponsorship from Central Hudson, and that's where that 15,000 comes from. Because we are not doing the BEAs as an in-person event this year, we basically just only included the revenue that we got, that sponsorship from Central Hudson for 2020. In 2021, we've lowered that expectation because we do expect businesses to still feel the effects of the pandemic. And so we're not optimistic that we'll be able to have the same number of sponsorship levels as that we've had in the past year. So we've lowered that to 75 for 2021. The WIB line item represents the service contract that they pay us for it includes the rent, the use of the space, the public areas of the space, as well as administrator support services such as Jasmine's receptionist services, the telephone, computers, and things like that. So that's what the WIB is. And again, the interest is what we estimate to receive in 2020, and then with interest rates so low, it has been dropped to 10,000 in 2021.
Question, Chairwoman Bauer, sorry if I have the floor.
Yes, go ahead, Don.
Thank you. So Sarah, just specifically to the Workforce Investment Board, those are monies, the Workforce Investment Board gets their funding from the state, for workplace opportunities, training, et cetera. Again, this is another one of our quasi partners. We do share space with them. Is there any indication from them that there's going to be a limitation on their revenue, and they may have obstacles in being able to support the contract for professional services? Is there anything we need to consider with regards to that?
So I'll actually have Marilyn talk on that because she's familiar with how the WIBs gets their funding. So I'll have her make comments.
Thank you.
Yeah, the funding for the WIB actually comes from the county.
the county controls the money and has possession of the money, and the WIP submits invoices to be paid to the county, and the county pays them. So that funding does come from the Department of Labor down to the county,
Right.
who administers it.
Yeah, so I think maybe before we present this to the full board, maybe we can get an indication from county finance if there's any limitation, because you know, every day you read the newspaper about the New York State being having difficulties in their aid to town, cities, and counties going forward. But I just think, again, as a idea, thought process, we should just make sure that we kind of you know, put a dog ear on that to say, well, is there going to be any limitation that we should be aware of?
So, yeah, so, and that's a good point to raise, because if you can see in, the difference between, on line 7, the 2020 budget for WIB was projected to be at 32,000, but year end 2020, we're getting, a little over 27,000. That is as a result of the constraints of New York State putting a, hold on paying, the workforce investment boards, as well as the other workforce organizations in the state. So we've held their, we've lowered their contribution in 2020 as a result of that, and that may or may not continue for 2021. So we can get some clarification before the board
Thank
meeting.
you.
And Sarah, I had a comment about the private sector donations for 2021, up
Yes.
75. I think that's still a little too high based on what's happening and what's anticipated to happen, definitely through the first half of the year next year. I'd be more comfortable with lowering that down to maybe 50,000.
Okay.
I just think it's going to be a hard ask next year with the businesses, and they're slowly, you know, getting back into. I mean, they're really not where they were like at this time last year.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'd be willing to make that motion. Reduce line 6, private sector, from 75,000 down to 50.
Okay. And that'll bring the total revenue to a little over 850.
Mhm.
Do we need to vote on that?
No. No.
Okay, all right,
No.
thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to expenditures. So expenditures 2020, you know, for 2020 year-end estimate is based on what we expect to spend. We're pretty much going to be on budget because many of these expenses were committed before coming into the year. We did do some cost savings in the dues, publications, and subscriptions. Last year, I had budgeted to purchase a data analytics program. We have decided to postpone the purchase of that program because of, you know, projected lower revenue. So that program has been for the purchase of that program has been suspended for now. What is new in that is that for the loan fund, we are going to purchase a loan management fund to manage the loans, and so that is a new expense in both 2020 and 21, but again lower than what was projected for 2020. So moving on to the 2020 budget expenses, again, consistent with past spending, we did make some budget modifications. In line 12, again, is 30,000. That's again, the postponement of the data analytics program. Also for payroll tax, and payroll fringe for 2021. The payroll levels have been kept the same as 2020. We're not projecting any personnel salary increases as a result of what we expect to see in our budget in 2021. Go ahead, Don. Oh.
Thank you.
So yes, the staff personnel costs have been kept stable. We did that because of the impact of the pandemic. And then the professional service contract, again, this is just as a result of being conscious of our budget. While we had a very good program and relationship with Excel 7, just for 2021, we decided to not renew our contract. Again, nothing related to performance. The project and the performance went well. It's just as a result of lower revenue expectations. So we just made that decision not to continue that in 2021. And then with the CCNY is Community Capital New York. They are the loan origination partner. Our loan fund, as approved, was to expire in December 31st of 2020. So that professional service contract has not continued into 2021. That may change if the board decides to extend the program, but as it currently stands, it is expected to end in December 31st of this year.
This is Marilyn speaking. A couple other comments. Line 16, under expenditures, events to be produced. We have it at 35,000, but having to match the decrease in revenue, I'd like to change that number to 25,000. Also on line 18, just a comment, we have the loan reserve fund. This is the 135,000 expenditure. That's based on a $450,000 worth of loans at a 30% default rate as recommended from Community Capital. That's incredibly conservative. It's a very high number, but that's what they recommend. And again, we only have a few months left, but it's based on a loan of $450,000 going out.
That would be a combined total of if there were.
Correct.
I mean, that's not one loan. Right.
There's a $10,000 limit to each loan.
Right. Okay.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So, with regards to, I'm sorry, Marilyn, were you done?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. Are we done with all the expenses? Because I did have a couple questions regarding some of the. You're good, Sarah?
Yes, I'm good. So go ahead, Don.
So, specifically, I'm looking at line 22 payroll. So, in 2019, we had 360,000. I know in the budget there was we had increased our headcount. I believe that title was that we added. Sarah, if you could.
Is the Director of Business Retention and Expansion.
Right. Okay. So. Are we full? Do we have any vacancies at this particular point in time?
So no, we have no vacancies at this time.
Okay, and is there any anticipation of any vacancies for 2021?
So no, we don't expect any vacancies.
Okay. The rent you have Item number 31, the rent expense. You have actual rent of 71,000, and then for budget next year, you have, or estimated through the end of the year, 71,627, and you have it increasing to 84,941. Could you just explain the increase there?
Yep, so the increase is that we expanded our space this year, basically by a third. So that reflects the increase in, that causes the increase in rent.
Thank you.
And then just also on line 32, I just wanted to, and 33, you'll see in 2020, 0 for trade shows and 4,000 for travel meeting. Obviously, that is a result of the pandemic and trade shows being canceled, and limited travel as a result of the coronavirus, as well as our internal policy to cancel any travel to trade shows this year. But and then we've also lowered it for 2021, seeing that again, the results of the pandemic, we'll still see limitations on travel.
Marilyn, could you provide our current asset position like we did with the,
Yep, as of December 31st, 2019, as per our audit, we have a net position of 3.1 million. This is Marilyn again. I also want to comment, I think that this budget is incredibly conservative. I think our expenditures are, we budgeted high on purpose, and that the revenues are low on purpose, and so I think that 297 really, again, is incredibly conservative and high.
but we still have a significant fund balance to support that. That's the budgeted excess of expense over income for 2021.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sarah, Marilyn, is there anything else, any other comments or any other questions?
So no, we don't have any.
Okay.
Did you,
I would,
did you?
go ahead, Don.
Did we need to go through the 5-year parish yet?
So,
Oh,
no,
sorry,
so
yes.
So I was gonna go through the 5-year Paris now.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So again, the 5-year Paris, end of year estimates and the proposed 2020 coincide, well, the 2021 will coincide with the detailed budget with the change. I'll make those changes that we discussed earlier, and that, you know, will coincide. But again, the line item descriptions coincide with what we complete in Paris. So this is a kind of a summary. Moving forward for 22 and 23, 24 is just, again, similar, is that projects a 3% increase moving forward on both the revenue and the expenditures. Any questions?
Just the similar thing that we did with the previous item, do we need to reevaluate the interest income stream?
I think the interest income stream on this one is only 10,000 anticipated revenue, which is, I think, more in line with the lower interest rates and then the gradual drop in the fund balance. So I think that line item is okay this time and this budget.
Okay, well, I mean, for 2022 on the 5-year Paris, it had 20,000.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah,
I was looking at the 2021 figure, yes. In the 2022, we might want to drop it a little bit.
I think we should make that 10,000 per year going forward.
Mhm.
That's my recommendation.
I agree. Mhm.
This is Marilyn. You wanted 10,000 for 22. Do you want it for 23 and 24 also?
Yeah, I think that's prudent. Again, it's just proposed. It's a estimate, estimate.
Yep.
I don't see interest rates moving up anytime in the next 24 months. And I'm
Yeah.
not a banker. Kathy maybe could.
Interest rates aren't going anywhere.
Okay. So does anyone have any, Kathy or Don, any questions? Comments? Anything you'd like us to say?
Just if you could just make one overriding comment and maybe some dialogue as to how the LDC collects an administrative and closing fee and what the nature of those transactions are. I believe that it's a bond.
Correct. So for the LDC, the administrative and closing fees are bonds. They're the tax exempt bonds. The LDC acts as a conduit for these bonds. These bonds are private placement bonds. So the bond holder is responsible for finding the investors for the bonds. There is no financial impact or responsibility on the county. These are not municipal bonds. So these are private market bonds. It allows the again, the bondholder to have access to the tax exempt market.
And these would be for not-for-profits such as the colleges.
Yes.
And we've experienced over the last several years a favorable increase on that because we're able, the borrowers are able to utilize the LDC and actually get better rates than through the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, correct?
Correct. And so, as you said, these are nonprofit organizations. They're universities, hospitals, healthcare centers that access these bonds. And our biggest competitor on these bonds is the Dormitory Authority.
Thank you.
Okay, Kathy, I think if that is.
Okay, so if there's no more questions or comments on either, I'd like to have a motion to make a proposal that with the various line item changes that we have discussed, that this be presented to the full board at the next board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
And I will second that motion. Jasmine, if you could please take a roll.
Yes. Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Don Sagliano.
Approved.
Okay. Is there any old business to be discussed, Sarah?
No, there's no old business?
Is there any new business that we need to discuss?
No, there's no new business.
Okay, I'd like then at this time to have a motion to adjourn the meeting of the Dutchess County LDC Finance Committee meeting.
So moved.
And I will second. Jasmine?
Kathy Bauer,
Approved.
Don Sagliano.
Approved.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
You
Thank
too. Have a good day.